Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today's tutorial is part 2 of our hiding jar teddy bears. So in this video we are going to be assembling everything and finishing it up. So let's get started. Okay guys, so we have got our bear all made, all the pieces ready to go. So let's get started on assembling this. Now I do ask that you do follow the steps, or the steps on how I do it, because there is a reason that we're going to do it this way, because if we don't, it throws things off just a little bit. So if we do it in order that I'm showing you guys, it's going to come out perfect. So to get started, we're going to start with our head. And what we're going to do is we're going to count down from 1, get a pen here, or a needle. Here's row 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. And then I'm just going to go right in between row 9 and row 10. Get our eyes. Okay, so our eyes are going to go in between rows, I just lost where I was, dang it. In between rows 9 and 10. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And I'm just going to kind of ream out a hole a little bit so I can see. Alright, now you may have to twist your eye a little bit to get it on there nice and pretty. And then what we're going to do is we're going to come to the back, and then we're going to put this cap on, or the safety back. I don't know what you call it. But anyway, so if you look, you see how you got 2 little notches on your back right here? All we're going to do is push the safety back that we have just over that first one. Because if we go over the second one, it pushes it. It smashes the eye back to, or the eye to the yarn, and it looks weird. So if I take that, oh, it's a little hard. I think I might have the wrong eyes. Wrong safe. Nope, I got it. Okay. There. See how it just went over that one nub? That's where we're going to stop. Okay, so for the second eye, we are going to count 1 hole, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then we're going to insert into the 6th. Screw it on there. Okay, so you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5 is kind of behind that eye right there. Alright, now I'm going to put this back on. I forgot to take my rings off. Okay. I think I may have the wrong backs for these, but that's okay. I'm making them work. There, I got it. Okay, so there's our eyes. Now we are going to insert, go ahead and get your hot glue gun ready. Get it turned on and getting hot. And we are going to insert the head onto the ring. So what we're going to do is set your insert to the side, and we're just going to give the bottom of this head a little bit of a tug. And I'm just going to set my ring in there. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to run a little bead around here, just like this. And then I'm going to set the head on that bead. And then I'm going to let that cool so that holds that portion of the head on there for me. I don't know what it is. Every time I work with this, I end up burning the crap out of myself. Actually, I burnt myself yesterday. Right there. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to come around and start pulling the rest of my head on here. Now, when I'm gluing this down, I want the yarn to kind of cover that lip a little bit. Like, it doesn't have to come down super far. Alright, now all I'm going to do is just add glue. Put the yarn on and move on to another little portion. I'm going to need another glue stick. And FYI, that ring does get hot. And then you can kind of go around there and you can kind of see where your glue didn't hold. Like right there, it didn't. Ouch! Okay, so we're going to let that cool for a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and get me another glue stick. Alright. So once, you know, this is fully cooled and everything, we are going to get our polyfill. And we are going to stuff our head. Now we are going to stuff this pretty firm. Okay, I feel like I shouldn't have said firm. I should have said, because if we stuff it too much, the stitches are going to stretch. I mean, it's not a huge deal, but we're not stuffing it to like maximum capacity or anything. Alright, so I'm just going to start shoving some polyfill in there. I think I'm going to end up having to get out my other bag. All that hot glue right there, don't worry about that. We can clean that up. Do, 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 do. Alright, I'm going to get just a little bit more in there. And it is quite important that we try to shape it as we are stuffing it. And the reason being is because we're not going to be able to get back in here in just a minute. Okay, I think I'm going to do it one more time, and then I'm going to be done. So what I'm doing right now is everything I've got in here, I'm pulling it to the side, and I'm trying to get to the very top and get that nice and nice and stuffed in there. Okay. Now I'm just shaping it. Okay, I think I like this. Now, our goal is to kind of just tuck in these edges, because what we're going to do is we're going to run a bead of hot glue around this edge. And we don't want to be working that into that polyfill. We want to keep it on the flat part right here. Okay, So all I'm doing is just tucking this down a little. Get in there. Now I'm going to take my hot glue gun and I'm just going to run that around. I'm going to take my insert and set it in there and hold. Just like that. Okay, so I'm going to set that down and I'm going to let that cool for a little bit. And what we are going to do next is, I'm going to shut my hot glue gun off for a little bit. We are going to attach our muzzle. That's an ear. There's our muzzle. And then we're going to need our black felt. So for my muzzle, I want that to poke out just a little bit. Just about like that. I don't feel it hot anymore. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to load my needle with one of my tails. Doesn't matter which one. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to find a nice placement for it. I think I'm going to go one full line of holes, second line of holes, and I want the top of my muzzle to be right there. And I'm not going to do anything fancy with this. All I'm doing is going in, catching a few stitches, bring it back out. Oh, wait a minute. Oops. I just brought that straight across. I shouldn't have done that. I thought I had the other tail on there. Come back out. Reload this. Okay. Do that again. So I have one solid line of holes, and I want to start it on the second. Okay, now I'm just going to go in, grab a couple stitches, come back out. In. Okay, now that I'm to the other tail, to this tail, I'm going to go in, come out one more time, and then I'm just going to take this off my needle. I'm going to get my scissors, pull that tight, and snip. I'm going to get that polyfill back in there. I'm just using the back of my needle. Alright, now I'm going to finish it up. Actually, I'm going to take this little tail right here. I'm going to stuff it in there. Use everything. Alright. Get my yarn back on my needle. Alright, now I'm just going to finish all the way around to the next part where we started sewing. Go in, I'm going to, dang it, grab a few. There we go. I think I can go one more time and then I'm back to where I started. Okay, now I'm going to run that back inside my nose, come out one side, pull it tight, snip. Alright, tuck that in there, get in there, shape my nose up. Now go ahead and turn your hot glue gun back on, and we're going to cut the triangle for our nose right there. So I got my piece of felt. You know what? I'm going to pause this and I am going to go find my good pair of scissors. I'll be right back. Okay, I got my better scissors here. Now I'm just going to, always, when you guys are crafting or you're making or, you know, what have you, always work with the I don't know what you would want to call it. I would just kind of go by the saying, I'd rather have too much than not enough. Or cut once, and, you know, big, and then trim down. So I am just going to take a corner here, and I'm going to go up about that far. Now I know my nose isn't going to be near that big, right? So I'm just going to hold it here. You know, pay attention to where this triangle is. And then I'm going to take that off. Take that off. Bring it down. And now holding the tip of my triangle, I'm just going to round that off a little bit. I don't like it. I think I can do better. Start over. Next corner. I feel like the first couple ones I made, like I didn't even try to make them look nice. I just cut them and went with it, but I don't know what my deal is right now. Alright, I'm going to call that good. I like it. Okay. I guess just picture what the nose should look like. Alright, now all I'm going to do, just put a little doll right there. Set my nose there. And there's the nose. He looks cute. Okay, so we got the muzzle done. Now we're going to move on to the ears. Alright. So for my ears, I want my single crochet tops like this right here. I want that facing me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold it with the single crochets facing me, and I'm going to take the tail on the right side. We're going to start with that. Oh, where'd my needle go? There it is. We're going to start with that. I'm going to pull my camera out a little bit. Okay, so what I'm going to do, or what I like to do, is I like to look at the top of my head and find my round one. And I want my ear to start right to the left of that row one. So this tip should go right where that needle is going in. And then I hold it and I look. I think I want it to come down. So I'm going to go to the next hole. I'm going to run that to the back. Now, when we run this needle through, do not run your needle through stitches like that. We don't want that. We want to go into one of those open holes. Okay? So I'm going to pull that through. I'm going to set that there. And I'm going to stop and I'm going to look at it. And I like that better. I brought it down. So here's round 1 and here's round 2. And I went right between 2 and 3. And then stop and look. Do you like the way it's set, where it's setting at? Do you like the way it looks? I do. So I'm going to go ahead and load my left tail on my needle. And now I'm going to hold it down. And I want this to run straight. You know, I don't want it like this. I want it to go straight from where we started and come down. And mine is setting about right on that row. But I'm going to go into a hole, so I'm going to go down 1. And I'm going to come right out the same hole that this tail is in. So if you look, see it right there. That's where I want that tail to come out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop, pull this a little tighter. Now look, do I like that? I do. I think it looks cute. So now I'm going to move on to the next ear with the single crochet, the tops of the single crochets facing me. Now this time, since we're going to do the right side of the head, I want to start with this tail right here, right? So I'm going to start with the left tail. And I do want to say this is the left side of the tail is the part of the tail looking at me while I'm filming this. When you watch it, I don't know if it's going to be the same. I think it will, but I'm not 100% sure. Okay, so I'm going to set this here and I'm going to look. Well, on this side, I went between rows 2 and 3. So on this side, I want to go through 2 and 3 also. But I want them, hold that, I want them to be straight across from each other. So straight across from this ear to this side, I'm going to go right into that hole. I'm going to go in, and I'm going to come out a hole, not going through stitches on the back. Okay? Alright, so that looks good. Now I'm going to come down here, and I'm going to hold my ear to where I want the right side to set. Make sure it's even. Well, I should have loaded that needle first. Hold on. Load your needle, guys. Ah, crap. Okay. Now I'm going to do that. Let's make sure it's straight. That's where I want it. Remember, we're not going to go through stitches. We're going to go into holes. So I'm going to go right into the hole right there. And I'm going to come back and I want to go straight out of the same. Nope. Nope. There. Right there. There we go. Okay. Alright, now I'm going to look at him. And he looks adorable. I love it. Okay, so once you guys get your eye placement and you like where it's sitting at. Now, if you don't like it, all you got to do, pull that ear up. See the tail that's moving? Pull it out, readjust, reposition. When the bears that I've made, I've had to completely take the ears off because I'll put them on there and then I think, nope, I don't like the way that's sitting. And then I have to completely redo it. So, once you get the ear placement you like, we are going to take our tails and we're just going to tie a little knot. Pull that. We're going to do it one more time. Pull that. Now what I do is I take my needle and I go in there, and if you guys can see, oh, sorry, I bumped my camera with my glasses. Right there is my knot. Right there. What I'm doing is I'm catching that and pulling it down so then the knot is gone. And then I'm going to take, there they are. I'm going to take my scissors and I'm just going to snip. And again, I'm going to go in there and watch that tail. See it hide in there? And you don't see it anymore. So I'm going to do the same thing on this side. Pull. Pull. I'm going to put a needle, I'm not just going into any random hole, and what I'm doing is I'm coming up and I'm catching that and then pulling it down to where it hides it. And then snip. Do that again. And there we go. See it disappear? And there's our head. So if you want to, where'd my jar? Oh. If you want to, you can go ahead and give yourself a little example of what it's going to look like. Now, keep in mind, this isn't the final, you know, we've got a little bit of adjusting to do. And actually, while I've got you guys doing this, on your lid, let's say you got a little, like, let's say you got too much hot glue right here, around here. Like, let's say it's come up and you can see it past your ring. What you're going to have to do is you're going to have to get that cut off, because your jar, like here's a perfect one. This is one I messed up. So if you look, see the hot glue right there? Get an X-Acto knife or something. Be extremely careful. I use these when I'm making my tumblers. But just run that along there and get that hot glue cut off. You might need to get a pair of tweezers or something. Like here's a perfect example right there. I want that off. So I'm going to run that X-Acto knife through there, away from you. Do not do it like this, because you're going to go psh and catch yourself, and you don't want to do that. So I'm just going to come around here. Okay, once you get that cut, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a pair of tweezers, and I'm just going to try, there, got it, and pull that off. Just like that. I need a pointier pair of tweezers instead of a square. There, got it. And that way, the jar lid will fit better on there, and you're not struggling to get it on there. Because if you look, I don't know if you guys can see. Can you see, like along here, all of the, I'm gonna say like residue? What that is that's me screwing that lid on, and all that hot glue just, you know, the cooled hot glue, rubbing on the jar instead of the jar rubbing on the insert. Okay, so we've got that done. Our head is done. He's looking adorable. We are going to move on to our legs. And preferably it needs to be the legs, and there's a reason for it, and I'll tell you guys in a little bit. Get that put up. Okay, get your legs. Get your needle loaded. Alright. So what we are going to do, we are going to stuff this. But we're not going to stuff it too much. Like, this is all the polyfill I have left in that bag, and this should be way more than enough for these arms and legs. And here's what I want to show you guys. Like on this one, if you overstuff these legs, the legs are going to set like that. And we don't want that, right? We want them to set nice and flat on whatever where the bear is setting on. So what we're going to do is, basically all we're going to stuff is about here down. Because the rest of this is what the jar is what's going to sit on the ground. So if we just stuff this, then it sits nice and pretty on, you know, the shelf or table or whatnot. So I'm going to only take, we'll start out with that and see how it looks. And I'm just going to stuff it in there with my finger. Yeah, that's enough. And that's what it should look like. Go ahead and put that in there. That's good. Okay. So now I'm going to fold this to where my slip knot right there is to the side. And then I'm just going to whip stitch this shut. Or stitch it shut. If it's the whip stitch or not, I'm really not sure. So I'm just going stitch for stitch, back and forth. Alright, finish this up. And I'm going to take it all the way to the edge as far as I can. Okay, there's the leg. Now we're going to take our jar, and you see the loops left over from round 6 that we didn't work into? That's what we are going to use to attach the leg. So all I'm going to do is set this, and I'm not, at this point, we don't need to, you know, position it perfectly with anything else. Right now, all we're going to do is attach the leg to the bottom. And I'm just going to grab a stitch and go stitch for stitch, sewing this on. Twice into one if you need to. It doesn't matter. It's not going to hurt anything. Oh. So what I'm doing is going completely under the stitch on this one and just straight through that extra loop right there. Well, I guess it's not extra, it's remaining. I'm going to do the same thing, go as far to the edge as I can and grab that stitch. And now I'll just go run right back through there again. Okay, so when we set our jar down, our leg sits nice and pretty. Alright, so I'm just going to go right through there, and then I'm going to run it through the bottom and come out, not in a stitch, in a hole. And then I'm going to set that to the side. Okay, so now you guys just repeat the exact same thing with the other leg. Slightly stuff, not very much. I'll put just a tad bit more in there. Pretty good. Alright, now I'm going to sew the top shut. Put my slip knot in the corner there, and then just start stitch for stitch, sewing it shut. And remember, I'm going to go all the way to the far edge as I can. I'm going to take this and I'm going to set that. How far do you want it apart? So do you want it like this? See how there's no space? You could do it more like this, where there's just a tad bit of space. I think I'm going to do this one about right there. So I'm just going to hold it, turn it over, and then just start going into that remaining loop from round 6. go as far to the side as I can. Catch that loop. And there we go. Now I'm just going to come back around, go in anywhere, and I'm going to come right back out of the same place as the first tail. And there's our legs. So you can see mine are kind of separated a little bit. All right, now we are going to move on to, I'm not going to say our arms, but we are going to move on to a portion that is extremely important we do before we do our arms. So what we're going to do is we're going to give this a tug and pull this up, pull the body up, okay? Now what we're going to do is we're going to take our head and screw it onto our jar. Right to the, now if you want this to always be tight, then tighten that lid on right now. If you don't want it to be tight and you just want it to be normal screwed on, like I'm not putting any pressure on there, I'm just shut, open, shut, open. So I'm just keeping it to shut. And you see how my legs are offset from the front of my face? Right now is when, oh, get back on there. Right now is when we're going to rotate that and line up the body, or the legs and the head. So I like where my legs are in, you know, in comparison with my head. So I don't want my head sitting here, and I want it right, like the tension I always am going to close this is right there, okay? So I'm going to make sure this is nice and lined up, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull the bottom to where it meets the top, last row of single crochet. So see where my bottom is meeting the top right there? And what we're going to do now is glue the body to the jar. So with my hot glue gun, nice and hot, glue's dripping everywhere, I'm going to pull this out a little, and I'm going to squirt some hot glue right along there. And then I'm going to close that. Now don't squish it or you're going to squish hot glue out. Just set it there. Go to another spot. I need to get my... Okay, go to another spot. Pull this out a little. And I'm just going to stick that in there. Squirt some hot glue in there. And lay that back down. Remember, don't squish or you're going to squish hot glue out. Rotate a little bit more. Pull that out. Go in with some hot glue and lay that down. Alright, where was I last at? I can feel where it's warm and where it's not. Go in. Don't squish it, just set it down. Pull it up if you need to. I think I already glued there. I'm not squishing, I'm feeling the heat. Alright. I'm going to go in there with just a little more. And then set it there. Okay. And so I wanted to explain the reason why we did it in that order is because if we didn't pull that up and meet with our head and we just sewed our arms on, we would end up sewing our arms down here. And and then when we went to glue it on and then, you know, we pull this up to meet our head, it looks really weird. So if you pull this up, hot glue it to your jar, and you get your body, you know, shape going, now you can see, okay, so my body's set and ready to go. Now I can look and see where I want my arms to permanently be. I hope that makes sense. All I'm doing now is just picking up the chunks of hot glue I got setting. Alright, good enough. Okay, so to the last part, we are almost done. I'm going to go ahead and tie this in a knot, just like we did with the ears. Take my needle, get in there, hide that knot, snip my tails. Sometimes you don't really quite grab those tails. Alright, and that is it for that. Now we move on to the last part. I know he looks kind of funny now. And that is our arms. And we're going to follow that same concept with our legs. We're just going to lightly stuff the arms. That's probably too much. I'm going to use my pencil. The eraser of a pencil works perfect for stuffing. Okay, so I use that same concept, only about that much of the arm is actually stuffed, if you can see. So when it sits on the bear, okay, so go ahead and load your tail. Boy, messed that up. I looked away. There. Alright, pinch that in half with the slip knot to the side, and then just go stitch for stitch, sewing it shut. I'm going to come to as far to the edge as I can. And there we go. And you can, I should have said this, you guys can go ahead and shut off your hot glue gun. Alright, so now all I'm going to do is I'm going to set my arm on my bear. So we can set it this way to where his arm is going down, or we can set it this way to where it's going straight out. So however you guys want to do yours. And right now what I'm doing is I'm lining it up to front to back, how I like it. So I could go all the way up here, or I could come back a little farther, or right about there. And I've got this tip lined up with the tip, or the end of that last row of single crochets. And that's how I kind of like it, like that. So I'm going to hold it, come back, and I'm going to go through some stitches and catch some. Now with this being hot glued down, you're not going to go completely through all of your work. So what I'm doing is just, like if you look at the tip of my needle right here, that's what you do, is catch some of those stitches. Obviously I'm not doing it right there, but where I did do it, which is right here, is all we're going to be able to catch. You're not going to be able to get the entire stitch. Okay, so I came in. Now I'm going to come back out of my arm here. This is hard to do on camera. Go back into my arm. And now I'm going to go, like right here, I can pull it up a little bit because that's not where it's glued. So I'm going to go straight through best I can. And if you guys want to, you can definitely like reinforce your arms and legs with a little bead of hot glue under there. It ain't gonna hurt nothing. Okay, now I'm gonna come back up. Come back down. Now obviously I don't want to go right back where I came in. Now I can still, I'm gonna pick up some stitches. Since it's not hot glued right there, I can go straight in. Pull. And now I'm going to come out the edge. Now I'm going to go as far as I can, come out. Pull. And there's my arm. Okay, so for the arm, I'm actually just going to, well, I'm going to do it just one more time. I'm going to come through here. I'm going to go through. Basically what I'm doing is just catching more, sewing more than, as much as I can. And I'm just going to let that set right there for now. Okay, now time for the other arm. Stuff a little. Now I'm just going to compare. I think that one's stuffed just a little bit more. That looks better. All right, now I'm going to sew it shut. It's just stitch for stitch, nothing special. I'm going to go as far to the edge as I can. Okay. So now I'm going to set it on my bear. About the same area. And then hold. I'm going to come in. Catch a couple fibers because it's hot glued right there, so I can't go all the way down. Okay, so now I'm just going to go. Oop, my needle came off. Alright, I'm going as far as I can, and I'm just going to bring it out the back, pull tight, and there we go. He's adorable. So for these ends, I am actually just going to snip them off. Pull tight, snip, and it goes back in there. Pull tight, snip. That one didn't fully go back in there, but that's okay. Get in there, catch it, and pull it through. And there we go, guys. There is our hiding jar bear. Now, obviously, you guys can decorate this however you want to. I hot glued a little bow on her. And then this one, I did, you know, a little around the neck thing. A bow, I guess. Let's see. So if I wanted this one to be a male, I could make a little bow. But Walmart, like in the ribbon, by the ribbon, has all kinds of bows and buttons and all kinds of stuff you could use to decorate your bear. So I could hot glue that there. Give him a little bow. Turn my hot glue gun back on. You could run ribbon maybe around the top. Ta-da! How cute is he? Okay, guys, well, thank you so very much for watching my tutorials. I truly appreciate it. And I hope you guys find my tutorials easy to understand. If you have any problems whatsoever, there is my, in the description box, my email address. Shoot me an email and tell me what you're having problems with, and I will do the best I can to help you guys. And then also down there in the description box, there's links to my Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all the fun social media stuff. I'm trying to get that lined out better for you guys so you can see everything. And then after you guys see everything in the description box, go follow me. Go join my Facebook group, all that stuff. And subscribe if you haven't. Hit that thumbs up. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you guys think of my little hiding jar bears. I'm going to put candy in it for my niece. And definitely make this and then tag me in it, because I want to see how you guys decorate your bears. The candy you put in them, all kinds of stuff. So thank you once again, guys, for watching. You guys are the best. Subscribe if you haven't. Leave me a comment. Hit that thumbs up. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.